Here we have the all-new 2019 BMW Z4. This is the 20i. It's a 2-liter turbocharged engine producing 197 horsepower. Above this model is the 30i, which is also a 2-liter engine producing 255 horsepower. And then we have the top model, the Z4 M40i, which produces 340 horsepower and was a few seconds faster on the Nordschleife than the BMW M2, the best M car ever made. You can agree. But that's not that surprising, because if you just look at this car, it's very low, it has a short wheelbase, and it has a 50-50 weight distribution. So perfect ingredients for a good driving machine. Now BMW Amsterdam has been kind enough to give me this car for a day, so I can tell and show you guys how this car really drives. When I was doing my homework to review this car, the only videos I've seen was of the Z4 M40i. So I decided to take the 2-liter and see how the entry-level model does it, and if you need all that crazy horsepower, or if just under 200 horsepower is enough for a driving machine like this. Because I'm a strong believer that you don't always need crazy amounts of horsepower to be able to have a lot of fun in a car. We all know that BMW is all about driving. Doesn't matter which model you take, an SUV, luxury sedan, sports car, they're all driver focused. But especially the Z models. Those are the real driving machines. And it all started with the beautiful, magnificent BMW 507. And after that, of course, we know the Z1 with the crazy funny doors. But it was all about driving. Think about the Z3, later on the Z4, and now 2019, the latest Z4. In my opinion, a driving machine, a car like this, should be available with a proper manual gearbox. But unfortunately, we live in an era where the manual gearboxes are disappearing. So this is the first BMW Z car which won't be available with the manual gearbox. It looks like BMW is experimenting a bit with a little bit of a new style, because we all know the traditional kidneys, the front grille of BMWs, but this is the first BMW which has quite a unique, quite a different type of grille. Here we are at, for me at least, the best part of the car when it comes to looks, the rear. I just love how it looks. It's not over designed, quite simple, still very modern and very stylish. As you can see on the new Z4, the soft top is back again, because the previous Z4 only had the hard top. Especially for a car like this, a roadster, this is more pure, and of course it's lighter. The hardtop was quite heavy, and this roof can fold down and up in about 10 seconds, which is quite fast. And usually it's not very important in a roadster like this, but still I do want to mention the trunk size, because it's quite big for a car this size. You could easily go on a short holiday, a weekend, or even a week with this car, no problem. The reason for that is obviously because the roof folds down and it comes here in the middle. Okay, so let's take a look inside this brand new BMW. Completely new interior, new dashboard, no more traditional speedometers, but a digital screen. Obviously a big, nice touch screen over here. It's very driver focused. You see it already from BMWs from the 80s. That the dashboard is angled towards the driver. The seats are very nice, very comfortable. As you guys might know, the first thing that I always do when I'm about to drive a car is adjust the seating position. And just like in every BMW, also in this one, it's great. You can adjust it in every single way you want. And I like the fact that when I look to the left, I see I'm quite low to the ground, and it just gives me even a more sporty feeling than an M3 or an M5. It makes you just feel more connected with the road. I don't know if this is an option or not with this car to have electric adjustable seats, but this particular one doesn't have them. And I love it. Imagine you have to go forward or backwards, and you have the buttons. It goes really slow. If I want to go back, if I want to go forward, welcome to PureDrive. One of the first things that you notice directly when you want to start this car, if you are familiar with the older BMWs, that the start-stop engine button is here in the middle, and it used to be always behind the steering wheel, and they changed it, so it's a bit easier to find. But I have to say, I have to get used to that. Now, driving in this mode in Eco Pro is quite relaxing because the engine doesn't work really hard, it's in low RPM, it shifts up very fast, so it's very nice and comfortable for cruising. Okay, to the next mode, comfort. There's only one comfort mode, it's standard, and the dash turns from blue to red, so it's a little bit more sporty already, and it lets the engine make some higher RPM. It's quite a torquey engine, which is very nice, especially when you're driving a longer trip and you just want to relax and enjoy. This car's okay to do that with. What I have to get used to is, and for me this is the first time that I see this in a car, that when the automatic gearbox is in drive, so it's not in manual, you only see, oh, let's turn off the start-stop system, I don't really like that. When it's in drive, the only thing you see in the dash is the D. And with the previous BMW models, you used to see in which gear the car was in. Now you would say, if you're in drive, why would you care in which gear it is? I don't know. I just want to know, even if it's in drive and I'm driving just in a relaxed mode, I still want to see, I'm quite curious in which gear the car is. But that's history. So here we have a nice little twisty road, which this car is designed for to attack. So let's directly put this car in sport. You directly feel, and here it shifts back, so you have a bit more RPM. And there is standard sport, but there's also sport plus. When you put it in sport mode or sport plus, you directly feel that the steering is getting heavier. So you need a little bit more input, a little bit more strength. No, you don't need a lot of strength, but you need to put a bit more input to turn the wheel, which gives you a little bit more feedback, and gives you an even more sporty feeling in the car. The adaptive suspension is an option on this car. This particular car doesn't have it, but of course you can only imagine that if you put it in sport or sport plus, also the adaptive suspension gets firmer, so you can corner even harder, which is always a very good thing. But this suspension, this is the standard suspension, is also quite firm, very nice. The car doesn't lean that much. So let's see, directly put it in manual. There are two ways of shifting: manual with the pedal shifts obviously, or as always with the gear knob. But when you're driving on twisty roads like this, it's nice to keep your hands on the wheel and shift with the pedals, which work really good. As we know from BMW already, it's a very fine, very nice and fast gearbox. In comfort mode or in Eco Pro mode, it's very smooth, and when you put it in sport or sport plus, it gives you a little hit in the back, I could say. I don't know how else I should call it. But it's really nice. It feels really sporty. This car is quick. No, it's not like M3 quick, but it's a really proper quick car. It's really nice. going into the corner, being in mid corner, and going out of the corner. In all those three parts, you just feel the perfect balance of this car, the 50-50 weight distribution, as we know of all the BMW Z cars. Turns in very, very well. It's really sharp on the nose, which I personally really like. Gives you also a bit more feeling for the car, gives you feedback. The very good thing about such a roadster like the Z4 is that you can enjoy a lot while staying within the speed limits. You can't say that of every car, every sports car. Nowadays there are a lot of sports cars which you really need to push to the limit, or almost to the limit, before you can have some fun. But this car, you can just stay under 4,000 RPM. I'm going 38, 4,000 shift. It's fun. It's good. Because this car, especially this chassis, it's all about handling. That's the strength of this car. The sharp turning, still a lot of grip on the rear. The balance, the weight distribution. And you feel that, you feel the nice balance in the car when you're driving on 50 or 60% of its capability. I think that's a very, very good feature in a sports car, because that means that everybody can buy this car and enjoy it. You don't have to be some kind of a professional racing driver to be able to enjoy it. It's great. It's such a lovely car. It's quiet, it's nice and quiet and relaxed when you want it to be. And it's really sporty and awake when you want it to be. And it sounds good. This 2-liter engine, it sounds good. You hear, especially the exhaust noise. You don't hear the engine that much, but it's 90% the exhaust what you hear. You hear it through here. And it feels like the exhaust is 20 centimeters behind you. It's really good. You hear some pops and bangs sometimes. Everything is also very responsive in this car. The throttle response, the brake is maybe a little bit even too responsive for my liking. The steering, very sharp. The balance in this car, all those things combined make this car again a great BMW Z car. I love the Z series. Of course, I understand that some things after a while have to change. You have to renew some things. But I'm not sure if I'm really happy with the next subject, the RPM gauge. It's now pointing the other way. I'm not a big fan, but hey, I think if you would purchase this car, drive a few weeks, you would get used to it and it would be fine. But for now, not for me, no. Let's see if the roof will open if I drive 51 kilometers per hour. So 1 kilometer faster than BMW tells you the roof can open and close. Here we go. It works! Wow! Okay, I'm not going to push it further than this, because obviously there's a reason to why BMW says it's maximum 50 kilometers per hour. I don't want to push the limit even more than this and drive 60 or 70 and open the roof, and maybe the roof will, I don't know, be damaged because of the wind or whatever. This car doesn't need the heavy engine. Of course, if you want to have a lot of power, if you have the money, if you want to spend it on a fun car like that, do it. Buy the Z4 M40i. But if you just don't have that budget, or you just don't want to spend it, but you still want a great handling sports car, a roadster, then this 2-liter is great. This car is for sale at BMW Amsterdam. I'll put some details in the description below so you can check it out if you might be interested. Such a fun car. I'm giving it some gas again.